Today is, again, staying positive and how to continue staying positive through just times, right? Tough times, happy times, all the time. And our topic for the day is, as we talked about last week, is the importance of calendaring and scheduling, really for peace of mind than anything else. And that's really what we want to talk about. My name is Anuschka Alborzian. I'm an empowerment health coach and energy healer.
I am Samar Tehrani, and I am an addictionologist, and I practice out of Virginia.
Awesome. So, calendaring. This is something that at first it seemed, honestly, I used to feel overwhelmed by it because I didn't actually know what I was doing. And although I had like a list on paper and I would have just to-do lists, it just seemed like it took up too much time. And once I've actually gone into the habit, because everything is habit, once I got into the habit of, as soon as there's something, for instance, that there's a call or even like with friends sometimes, I'll put it in my calendar, because for me, I always say my calendar runs me, but I'm in control of it, which means that it's dynamic and you can change it. It doesn't mean you have to stick to it just because it's in the calendar.
It's just, it's a really good skill. I don't use it as much as I probably would benefit from using it. However, I do lists, and then sometimes I don't even refer to my list, but the fact that I write it down as far as a list, it's very helpful. But then I use a calendar fully and completely for my work, because there's just no way I can keep up with relying on my memory.
And that's how I started, actually. I started doing it with work only, and I realized, well, this is awesome because it gets it out of my mind and I don't have to think about it anymore. And it clears that. That's why it's the peace of mind, because it actually clears that headspace for more important things than having to remember where all the meetings are and all the times. Like, that's useless headspace, honestly. It's a waste of headspace. So that's like one of the things, and I too, I still have, like we talked about before, the brain dump list, and I have that where I just literally, if something pops in my mind, I'm like, let me write this down, because if I don't, either I forget it or then I just have too many things going on, and that in itself can stop us from actually having our headspace for the more important things in life.
Right. And we talked about this a bit last week, if you remember. What we talked about is how, I have this practice that I sometimes do, and I always refer my patients to this practice and tell them, try doing 10 minutes of free format writing to get everything that's on our minds out. Just get it all out, because once you do that, you open space to have better, clear thoughts, so that you can, problem solve easier, get through the day easier, because you're no longer depending on your memory to serve you based on all of the chaos that's going on in your brain, right? So when you clear the chaos, clear thoughts come, right? So some of these skills like calendaring is, I think, a really, really good way of kind of disciplining the mind to follow some sort of a pattern, right? And then for that pattern to serve our lives, to make it easier, So this is what. My little niece Dina's on.
I know. I was like, I think that's one of your relatives or something. Because I see Tehrani.
That's my brother's younger daughter. She's so sweet. Hi, darling.
That's so cute.
So anyways, that made me so happy that she tuned in.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So anyhow, I think this is. I'm looking forward to you sharing your tips, because this is something that you do and it works really well. And I know through your journey, Anuschka, you really relied on calendaring because you dealt with a lot of short-term memory stuff that you
absolutely
talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was like if I didn't calendar, I would definitely forget. And
Right.
and really what I now I'm not saying just jump from like the list to like all your stuff in the calendar either. One of the things that I would say, because there's different types of things, right? And what I love about technology is that you can actually set various calendars. You can, like, I have one for working out, right? It's a certain color. I have one for my business. It's a certain color. I have one that I share with Ashkan for when we have things that we actually plan together, right? And
Right.
so they're all different colors. And then I even have one for my integrity, right? My integrity list, where it's like, okay, these are the things that I'm going to do once a week, one daily. I'm going to do once a month, and they pop up regularly. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I need to take on. And it's like I call it like my integrity or ideal calendar of what I want to do during that day. And of course, like I said, you don't have to be like, oh my God, this is what I put in here, I have to do this. No, that's the whole beauty of it, because you can always change the time to a time that works better when that time comes around. So the other thing that I always also say is you can also use alarms and reminders to begin with. Because sometimes people struggle with the calendaring piece. So it's like, well, why not try to start with, let me set a reminder. Our phones are great. Technology, yes, there's going to be a little bit of challenge, but hey, like anything else, it's just a matter of doing it. There's so much stuff on Google. You can Google like, how do I set a reminder? How do I create a reminder list, or just an alarm? Everybody uses alarms, right? Right? Who doesn't? I feel like everybody uses an alarm on their phone, so you can set multiple alarms on, and they even have timers and things like that. So it's just taking your phone and devices and really taking full advantage of all of its capabilities. Um, oh yeah. So one of the things I always say is, do you think that CEOs and the presidents and those that have like huge businesses, do you really think that they keep all of that in their head? Can you imagine if they did that? Can you imagine if that, like, how that would, they wouldn't be able to do the things that they're doing? I mean, on top of it, they have assistants, but
Right.
then the assistants have a calendar structure for them because of this exact reason.
Right. And I want to say this because this is not about the inadequacies that we have. This is about using systems to enhance our abilities as as they already exist. So I mean, I recognize that at times, it's like since last week that we spoke, right? Um, and I created this list that I put on my cabinet actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like vitamins, green juice shots, water, 15 minutes of yoga, 5 minutes of stretching, my smoothie, like the things that I want to make sure that I am doing every day, right? And I created a 7-day kind of just like a handwritten, and that comes from like what you taught us of the integrity list. This is what I want to make sure I do every day for 7 days, and I want to see the benefit of it. Because, I mean, I cannot tell you how many days go by sometimes that I'm like, oh, I didn't take my green shot today. And then it's like the following day, I get all caught up at the end of the night. I'm definitely not doing a green shot at the end of the night because it's going to wake me up. I'm like, oh, I didn't take the green shot today. So, this list actually really, really helps me because even up to 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, if I see it, I can still do it. Like, it doesn't have to jump off of my routine until it becomes a solid routine for me, right? Yeah. And I feel that that's what kind of calendars do, is they kind of just help us get what we need to get done, right?
Totally, and I think that's a really great point. And by the way, I just see Carrie Bovary. Hi, so happy to see you. She's on Instagram here. One of the things that I realize is too, like the whole habit piece, right? When you start doing it on a regular basis, then you don't need to put it in a calendar anymore, or a reminder, or a list, or anything like that, because at that point, it's become a new habit in your life. And the other part is, if you do miss it, because there are times where, like, I think it was the other day, I went to volleyball and I forgot to take my pills, and I was like, I'll take it when I get home. And I came home and like all my vitamins and everything, and then I totally spaced it, and then I was
Yeah.
just like, but don't make yourself wrong about it either. Don't feel shame or guilt or anything like that, because hey, we're human and we're going to make
Right.
mistakes. We're not going to be perfect. It's just human nature that you're going to forget, even if you do have it in a calendar or a list or anything like that. But at least by having it, it actually will give you more of an opportunity to have that awareness around it, rather than having to remember all these things. Oh my God, if I had to remember all the things that I just did even today, I think I would be like, I don't even know. I'd be like running up the walls and be like, oh my God, I'm just, or just stop doing everything because it can get overwhelming. Yeah.
It's just not possible. It's almost as if we are asking ourselves to do the impossible and then holding ourselves at that level. Like, it's like, it's just not possible. And with our daily lives are busier than what we assume them to be, and yet not as busy as we, stress ourselves out that it is. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like there's this gray area that we function in. And so how do we make that area, the present moment, really smoother?
Yeah.
So that's what we do. I mean, I think most professionals use a calendar for their professional life.
Yeah, for work, right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of them. I mean, it's like, I would never remember who's on my schedule from today to tomorrow, right?
Yep.
So incorporating, so one of the things that I'm actually doing myself, as of last week, I'm like, well, how do I incorporate my personal life also into this calendar?
Mm-hmm.
And, you just mentioned, you can do different colors, for example.
Makes a huge difference, absolutely.
Yeah, the colors do make a huge difference. And so that's, that's one way. And then last week when we got off the call, I did a little bit of YouTubing on calendaring.
Nice.
That was my distraction from, having to take the dog to the PARK, and, and I thought, I'm just let me just YouTube this. And there's so many different suggestions and styles, and people are so incredibly creative that we can learn from. And so...
Yeah, and that's the key, right? Figuring out what works for you best. Like for me, and I'll go through it again because I talked about it last week. It's like I have the multiple lists, and like I said, it doesn't mean you got to stick to it. I'm really not one that's like all about plans and structures that are way far out, because hey, my intuition in like 2 weeks may shift. I don't know that. But for the most part, if it's something that comes in my head, whether it's through meditation or however, then I consider that brain dump list. So that's like the beginning. Like start out with a list where I think you have another name for it, but for me, is that the free form writing that you talk about?
Free form writing. I call it brain dumping.
Yeah, so it's like you and that's really what it is. It's just getting something out. And I even have like little letters next to each of them to identify if it's personal or business or whatever it may be, right? And so that's the beginning. That's the first list. And then from there, because that one's just kind of like whatever, no organization. And then you can take that and start putting that into an integrity list, which is different ways of, giving it more of a timing and prioritizing and whatnot. And that's really like going to be your list to take on. I guess this is for me again. And then from that is that whole top, if integrity list is still too big, because it can still be a little overwhelming, right?
Right.
And you can take that and you can break it down to a daily top 6. And these are the top 6 or top 3. If even top 6 is too much, you can start with top 3. These are the top 3 things I need to get done. And even those, then this is like literally multiple steps, and then taking that and then putting it in your calendar, however you see fit, wherever the timing may be. So it's like this at least can get you there in a quicker way than going straight to calendaring, because that for a lot of people are just like, oh my God, like, and I notice that with my clients, they talk about calendaring and they just are like, they get a little freaked out about it.
Well, you know, when you describe the steps, it seems like it's a lot of things to do, but really it isn't. I mean, it only takes but a few minutes, right? I mean, it's really not like, oh, now I have to create this list, and then I got to create that list, and I got to do. It's really about getting your thoughts down and then organizing them and having a system to organize your thoughts and your daily activities at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, that's so nice.
Well, thank you. That's very kind.
Let's see if I think actually he asked. He said, "I am losing my focus." Wait, how should I hold on to that? So you're losing your focus, like when you're doing something, or is it like when do you notice that you're losing focus? Is what I would ask. Do you see the question further up?
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go through and see the comments.
How do we not let ourselves lose?
You know, one of the things that how do we not let our focus get lost is basically what that does.
Yeah.
So I have a suggestion that you know, and I always bring EFT up, you know, emotional freedom technique up in our talks. You know, if you're not familiar with EFT, familiarize yourself with EFT. Tapping Solution is a great app that you can download, and they have a lot of actually complimentary tapping sessions. And it's really about getting the meridian system of the body in balance, right? For the ones of us that know, you know, those 9 points.
And releasing anything that's being blocked there.
And release, well, so that's essentially what it does. It releases, right? And then when you bring the meridian system into balance, right, you think more clear, you breathe more clear, and the amount of, let's say, stress or perhaps anxiety that you're experiencing that, you know, I mean, you know, or exhaustion, maybe. Exhaustion is one reason why we lose our focus, because it's so hard to concentrate when we're exhausted or extremely tired. With EFT, you can really kind of bring that back into space. I was actually, I did a training, and a lady on, who is an EFT practitioner, she was talking about how we can massage our ears before, like, massaging your ears out, basically, before you go into a meeting, or if you want to listen to something, actually, like, gets you to focus in and pay attention closer. And, you know, and these are all of the, I mean, and if anyone's ever done acupuncture, you know, like, our ears are acupuncture points that they always hit, right? So really, by paying attention and doing, you know, massaging it out, you're probably activating those pressure points, okay? And this, the middle of, you know, what we call the third eye, right, is a really good tapping space to just activate, and that may also help with concentration.
And then another thing I'd love to add is, because it looks like you're saying in conversation, you feel like you're getting dementia. So in other words, you're probably losing whatever thought you have in the middle of it. Are you being present in the conversation? So that's something else to really look at, because when we're not present in the conversation and we're having thoughts of anything else, or we're just really on autopilot conversation, then there is a chance that you're going to feel that way. So something with this in general, focus, all of it, again, I always just say meditation. Meditation allows you to be more present in life, period, which gives you more focus in everything that you're doing. So I would recommend to take on meditation every morning.
Even if it's for a few minutes to get you started, it's a really wonderful way of starting some habits and clearing your thoughts, and creating space where you pay closer attention to your present moment.
Yes.
So one of the things that I normally share with people is, when you start the process of change, you can't implement too many at the same time, because when you do, not only will you not go through the change, what's going to happen is that you're going to fall off the other way because it's just too much. So incorporate 1 or 2 techniques, get used to those, and then incorporate another one, get used to that. And then that way you basically go through a change of lifestyle, you know, one step at a time.
Totally. Exactly.
That's how I became a vegetarian.
Yeah, mine was more like a boom, but yeah, that's an easier way of going about it, that's for sure. Yeah, they say like if you're like a hardcore meat eater, start out with, you know, and you want to become more of a vegetarian, it's like they say, like take on not eating meat 1 day out of the week, and then make it 2 days out of the week, and so forth, rather than just being like all meat to no meat at all. So yeah. So hopefully that answered your question, Abid Farouk. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, we can't answer that question.
Yeah,
that's a little bit more than what we can handle on a call.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and this is more calendaring. So yeah, that's a completely different subject. And you're more than welcome to reach out at some point if that's, you know, some of the things you're dealing with. And I feel like we've had conversations around this before. So I would actually look at what has you stay in the relationship, because I feel like you've brought this up before.
All right.
See anyone else? Oh, hi, Zlata. I don't know if you're still here, but hi. I don't think we have any other questions. And if there aren't any other questions, that's it. But yeah, calendar. Freeze up your headspace for important things. So take it on, and I promise you're going to feel so much better, because when it's in our head, it feels like chaos, and it feels like way more needs to be done than when it's actually out of our head, because then it's on paper and not in all the crazy mess. So.
All right.
Awesome.
Good to meet you guys again.
Yes. Thank you all so much for joining. And again, if you ever need any support in taking your health and well-being to the next level, feel free to reach out to either one of us. We'd love to support you in that.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.